find our seats and we can get moving with our 128th annual business meeting. So I'm told. I was not here for all of them. So, all right, wonderful. Thank you. Looks like we're just a few minutes behind schedule, but at it's like 3:41, we will call ourselves to order. The annual meeting of the Maryland State Bar Association will come to order now. Welcome members who are viewing online via video, as well as our members who are here in person. The agenda for this meeting is in the Legal Summit mobile app and microsite, and if there's no objection, this agenda will be adopted and govern the meeting. The chair hears no objection, so it is so ordered. Our Executive Director, Anna Scholl, will serve as head teller for the meeting and will be assisted by our Director of Learning, Andrea Terry, and our Director of Publications and Content, Andrea Solon. Finally, the MSBA Director of Advocacy Initiative, Shirley Katana, will serve as the timekeeper for the meeting. During this meeting, we'll hear reports from our officers, recognize the MSBA Leadership Academy Fellows, announce the recipient of the Honorable Anselm Sodero Judicial Civility Award, celebrate past and future leaders of our profession, and remember those that we've lost, as well as receive reports from our partners, the Maryland Judiciary, the Maryland Access to Justice Commission, and the Maryland Bar Association's Insurance Trust. In addition, we'll act on new business, vote on the slate of new officers, and swear in our new officers and induct our next president, the Honorable Jason Deloche. At this time, in my role as MSBA president, I'd like to present a review of this past year.
Do you want to stand up there? Stand.
You want me to stand?
Sure, yeah.
All right. Apparently, I will do this while standing. We were late on the notes on that. Over the past 12 months, it has been an honor and a privilege to serve as the president of your Maryland State Bar Association. We are, as you know, the only statewide association dedicated to serving all legal professionals across the state of Maryland. As I said from this dais 1 year ago, the MSBA is not an association only for lawyers in one specific area or who identify as part of one specific group. Rather, our goal is to be a resource, a collaborator for every kind of legal professional at every stage of their career, from every background and from every part of Maryland. I'd like to think that we made some progress on this over the past year. During the past year, your MSBA staff and leadership visited many parts of Maryland, bringing our signature Connections events to Allegheny County, Anne Arundel County, Frederick County, Montgomery County, Prince George's County, and St. Mary's County. An average of 50 people registered for each of these events. Some were attended by many more, and it was a pleasure to meet and connect with so many great people. Our Connections events are among one of my favorite events. There's no preparation required, no note-taking, no cost to our members and guests. Connections events are all about bringing members together, and they're one of the very best benefits of membership in the MSBA. Stay tuned for next year's schedule, as our Connections events will continue next year. I want to thank in particular Angela Monroe and Beth Salzgiver-Hunt from our MSBA staff for the great work they do coordinating these events for us. Of course, there are numerous ways for members to connect through the MSBA. Over the past year, our 25 practice sections have had numerous business meetings, CLE programs, study groups, lunch and learn programs, charity events, outreach programs, award banquets, annual meetings, and other programs that bring our members together in community. I want to thank our section chairs and our section councils for the tremendous efforts that they put forward on behalf of our sections and for their dedication. And I encourage our sections to continue planning and holding virtual meetings when possible in an effort to better include our members outside of the Baltimore-Washington metropolitan area. In addition, with the tremendous help of Bob Bershad, the MSBA's Director of Member Engagement, this year we created and expanded a law firm managing partners group that was developed with the sole purpose of helping the managing partners of Maryland law firms to connect and engage with one another across the state as a resource. A thank you, if you will, to these distinguished leaders and these individuals who help represent our members. The purpose of this group was to discuss issues, share ideas, and better collaborate. The group has brought tremendous value to many of the state's firms, and we look forward to continuing to support this dedicated group of individuals as they continue to support our members. The MSBA was especially busy in Annapolis over the past year. The MSBA members working on our advocacy program reviewed more than 175 legislative reports and prepared dozens of memoranda about the bills they reviewed, some in support and some in opposition. In order to assist the sponsoring legislators, we provide this service, and the committees that are overseeing these initiatives are very grateful, and they collaborate with us at a very high level. Those members who attended MSBA Day in Annapolis in January will recall Senator Will Smith, chair of the Senate Judicial Proceedings Committee, sharing his appreciation for the General Assembly's partnership with the MSBA, noting that MSBA members have expertise in specific areas of the law that can help us develop really sound policy. These sentiments were echoed again in his comments at yesterday's legislative update. So you understand the work that your MSBA colleagues and staff are doing in Annapolis. I share 3 examples of the legislative successes the MSBA and its members achieved this past year. First, making Maryland a no-fault divorce state with new grounds of irreconcilable differences, thereby offering a simpler approach to divorce and lowering the financial burden to the parties. 2 is modernizing our estates and trust laws through the Trust Decanting Act, providing for the e-filing of documents with the Register of Wills, and updating intestacy laws to secure rights for surviving domestic partners. 3 is protecting Maryland businesses by defeating a bill that would have required notice to the Attorney General 60 days prior to an acquisition valued at more than $8 million. I extend my sincere thanks and give credit to our section's legislative liaisons and the MSBA's Laws Committee, backed by Shirley Katana, the MSBA's Director of Advocacy and Government Relations, for driving our broad-reaching legislative advocacy project so successfully. In Annapolis this past year, our partner organization, the Access to Justice Commission, helped secure an additional $42 million in civil legal aid funding to implement Maryland's Access to Counsel and Evictions program. I'd like to congratulate Rena Shaw, the Executive Director of the Access to Justice Commission, who led this exceptional and successful effort. Both this year and last, it was my honor to work with Rena and Donna Hill-Staton, 2 exceptional lawyers and leaders in their own rights, in curating the MSBA Spark Series, a thought leadership program framed by Donna that brought us nationally recognized thought leaders in the areas of access to justice, guardians of justice, reforming justice, and the intersection of science, technology, and the law. The day-long capstone event on January 20th drew more than 100 in-person attendees. The Spark Series challenged us to consider our roles and responsibilities in these areas as legal professionals. I cannot thank Donna and Rena enough for the time and effort they put into this exceptional program, and I applaud my friend and MSBA immediate past president, at least for the next 30 minutes, Natalie McSherry, for launching and supporting this exceptional program last year. This was done in an effort to ensure that Maryland legal professionals continue to be at the forefront of our profession. This past year, our products and content and services group helped us to achieve that goal. The Lawyer Assistance Program gave 39 presentations on health and wellness, provided 4 virtual office hours per semester for both of our Maryland law schools, and produced True Tales of Survival, a series of videos spotlighting the Lawyers Assistance Program and how it helps people, whether or not they are members of the MSBA. If you or someone close to you has utilized the services provided by the Lawyers Assistance Program, you know how valuable this service is. If you want to learn more about the MSBA Lawyers Assistance Program, contact Lisa Kaplan, the program's highly skilled, professional, empathetic, and compassionate director. Another way the MSBA supported the profession this year was through our powerful continuing legal education program. The MSBA's CLE program produces approximately 70 live streams and adds 100 on-demand classes each year. This past year saw the consumption of 6,373 CLE programs. That is an awesome number for a small bar association. Maryland is not a mandatory CLE state, at least not yet. And this level of consumption demonstrates the high quality and value of our CLE programming. In particular, I'd like to thank Angela Terry, the MSBA's Director of Learning, and Chriselle Anderson, the MSBA's Educational Program Assistant, for their never-ending efforts to bring valuable content to Maryland legal professionals. In addition to CLE, the MSBA's Publications and Content team publishes numerous must-have resources that are essential for most every practice library. This past year alone, the MSBA published the 7th edition of Pleading Causes of Action in Maryland, Warnken on Maryland Criminal Law Practice, which was a reprisal of the late, great Professor Byron Warnken's original 2013 treatise, Maryland Divorce and Separation Law, Using and Drafting Trusts in Maryland, and the 3rd edition of the Construction Law Desk Book. My guess is that most of the people in this room have consulted at least one of these publications, and I suspect that many of you own at least one. In addition to our substantive law publications, the MSBA published 3 issues of the Maryland Bar Journal, countless online articles, the MSBA Weekly, and other content delivered to you via email, social media, and elsewhere, all geared towards member learning, towards keeping our members informed, and seeking to profile some of our remarkable members and their firms. It truly was a torrent of content, but each piece is carefully curated, written, and edited under the able guidance of MSBA's Director of Publications and Content, Andrea Solon. I cataloged this list of achievements and content and these numbers for a reason. First, I want you to know that the exceptional team that powers the MSBA is hard at work for you in our effort to reach members where they are and to make MSBA membership a benefit and a value proposition for our members. These efforts and these dedicated people are the reason that the MSBA achieved 97% membership renewal, which is significantly higher than the average retention rate of voluntary bar associations. The MSBA's exceptional staff, together with our members like you, made this possible. I'd like to recognize the tireless efforts of the MSBA's membership team, Nathan Levin, Beth Salsa-Giver-Hunt, and Autumn Smith. I'd also like to offer my sincere thank you and appreciation to the MSBA's new Executive Director, Anna Scholl. Anna stepped into the MSBA Executive Director position just a little more than 7 months ago, following a national search. Under Anna's leadership, the operation of our association has continued seamlessly at a very high level, and the vision of your strategic plan continues to be pursued for the benefit of each of you and every legal professional in Maryland. Simply put, under Anna's leadership, your MSBA has outperformed nearly every comparable bar association in the country. Finally, I'd like to offer my I'd like to offer my sincere personal thanks to Teresa Michael, the MSBA's Executive Assistant and Governance Administrator. Simply put, Teresa keeps us all organized and makes sure that I am where I am supposed to be. Teresa, thank you for your skilled and compassionate assistance this year and for many years prior. I'd like to ask Anna, Teresa, and the rest of the MSBA members and the rest of the members of our MSBA staff to stand just momentarily so you can join me in applauding their work on our behalf. Finally, I'd like to take a moment of personal privilege to thank the people who have supported me over the past year. And while I cannot name each of you, I would like to thank our President-elect, Jason DeLoach, our Treasurer, Marisa Trasati, our Secretary, Carl Eisler, our President-elect nominee, Raphael Santini, my Executive Committee, including Natasha Dartigue, Michael Neary, Randy Sargent, and Kerry Smith, our immediate past President, Natalie McSherry, my parliamentarian, Carl Silverman, and the members of our Board of Governors who have sought to do the work of the MSBA and who tried to do what's best for our association as a whole. In addition, I'd like to thank my former law partners at Paley Rothman and my current partners at Macmillan, Metro, and Ferber for their support and their dedication to the MSBA. And of course, most of all, I'd like to thank my loving and supportive family for being so generous with their time, love, and support for me, and for sharing me with all of you. Unfortunately, Today, my time only permits me to give you a small snapshot of all that your MSBA has done for you over this past year to support you and your practices and your role in the legal profession in Maryland. I'm pleased with the state of our MSBA, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to pass the reins of leadership to our President-elect, the Honorable Jason DeLoach, at the end of today's meeting. I'm comforted knowing that we will be in Jason's excellent hands next year. Jason has been an exceptional President-elect and is and will continue to be a terrific advocate for our association with a deep understanding of what's important as we continue our evolution, our continued growth, and our continued success. Thank you. Next, we will continue with our Secretary's report. The Chair recognizes Secretary Carl Eisler for the report of the Secretary.
Hello, everyone. I kept the minutes of the business meetings of the association, the minutes of the meetings of the Board of Governors and the Executive Committee, reported actions taken by the Executive Committee to the Board of Governors, and performed the other duties of the Secretary. I have assisted the Executive Director in executing the calculations necessary to determine the makeup of the 2023-2024 Board of Governors. I've also met frequently with the President and other officers in furtherance of the work of the association and in following its bylaws and the parliamentary authority adopted by the association as directed by the Board of Governors. There's no objection.
If there's no objection, the minutes of the prior business meeting will be approved. The Chair hears no objection and is so ordered. And I'd like to thank Carl for his tremendous work. We have had some marathon meetings this year, and it is not easy to be the Secretary for marathon meetings. The Chair next recognizes MSBA Treasurer Marisa Trasati for the Treasurer's report.
Good afternoon. I'm pleased to share that the MSBA has received a clean audit from our auditors, Ellen and Tucker, for the bar year 2022 to 2023. Yep. The MSBA is on track to achieve the re-projected budget for the current bar year 2022 to 2023, which closes at the end of this month. The MSBA achieved 97% membership renewal, which is significantly greater than the average retention rate of voluntary state bar associations nationwide, according to the latest ABA report. Yes, thank you. The budget for the upcoming 2023-2024 bar year was approved at the May meeting of the Board of Governors and seeks to continue to grow MSB's traditional revenue streams, which include membership, CLE, and publications. Thank you.
Thank you, Marisa. The Chair recognizes MSBA Executive Director Anna Scholl for the Executive Director's report.
Thank you, David. I'm humbled and honored to be standing here today and serving as the Executive Director of the Maryland State Bar Association. I would share that David and I should have compared notes a little bit further before we had this speech, because you're going to hear some things that you may have already heard. But the start to David's year was likely a little bit more challenging than he expected. The loss of any leader in an organization can be disruptive and has the potential to have a negative effect on the organization. And David, to his credit, recognized this and held a call with Natalie McSherry and myself shortly after Victor Velasquez announced his departure. During that call, I committed to David that regardless of the search committee process or the outcome of that process, I would ensure that the MSBA staff was focused on our objectives and that trains would continue to run on time. Looking back on the year, I am pleased to report that the trains did indeed continue to run. As our treasurer just reported, we achieved 97% of our annual renewal goal. In addition to that, we exceeded our passport membership renewal goal and exceeded our CLE revenue goals. Our team has been working hard to balance our return to in-person events while continuing to provide high-quality and accessible virtual programming for members across the state and beyond. The MSBA staff has demonstrated resilience and flexibility over this past year, and our membership should be proud to know that every member of the MSBA staff is invested in the success of this organization. Please indulge me for a moment as I showcase our small but mighty team on the slides. I want to say thank you to every one of our staff members for your hard work and support during this transition year. I want to give a special shout out to Jessie Miller, our Director of Marketing. Jessie joined us just a year ago, and she is the person to whom I've passed the baton, or more accurately, our walkie-talkie, as the captain of this event. She's done a great job leading this event, and I believe our team has delivered a stellar legal summit. If I could ask everyone to join me in a round of applause to recognize all of the hardworking MSB staff. We greatly appreciate it. Beyond a strong staff team, our membership should be pleased to know that you have been represented well by our hardworking president, officers, executive committee, and board of governors. The leadership of this organization has engaged in vigorous discussion and debate, all aimed at making the MSBA a better, stronger organization. I want to thank them for their efforts this year. And to David, I want to say thank you for your leadership. I know it was not the year that you planned, but it has been an honor to work with you this year. I've admired your thoughtful and deliberate approach and your dedication to seeking out and hearing from a wide range of voices and perspectives for the important decisions that have passed through the board and the executive committee. The association was well served by your leadership and should consider itself lucky to count you among its past presidents later this afternoon.
Thank you.
As we turn towards 23-24, I look forward to working with our incoming president, the Honorable Jason DeLoach, along with his executive committee and board. And the MSBA staff team will be focused on delivering on several initiatives, including updating our technology and website to make it more accessible and easier to navigate. We are working to revamp our marketing to make a more personalized approach to recruit new members and retain our existing members. We will also continue to expand on our library of course books and treatises and add more live and on-demand CLE courses to our ever-growing catalog. We will remain the best value in state bar membership by including digital CLE of 90 minutes or less with your membership, as well up to 2 complimentary substantive law sections. Finally, and most importantly, we will be focused on making sure every member of this noble profession sees the MSBA as a resource that can provide learning, connections, and leadership opportunities. Because if you belong to this profession, you belong in the MSBA. Thank you all for attending, and I thank you for your continued membership and support of the MSBA.
We now move on to the next section of today's agenda, which is honors. First, I'd like to recognize the MSBA Leadership Academy Fellows. The Maryland State Bar Association Leadership Academy offers a 12-month program designed to provide young attorneys from diverse backgrounds with additional leadership skills to prepare them for future leadership roles in the MSBA. Each year, fellows are chosen from applications submitted to the MSBA. During their term, the fellows will spend time attending MSBA events, developing and implementing a public service project, as well as attending specialized leadership programs. Fellows establish a relationship with past bar presidents and current bar leaders to learn more about the MSBA and to enhance their leadership skills. The skills the fellows learn will benefit the MSBA, the local or specialty bar associations that they work with, and the public as a whole. The names of this year's State Bar Association Leadership Academies fellows are as follows: Megan Allen, Rebecca Bautista, Shakina Douglas, Jasmine England Caesar, Ashley Filona, Janae Fountain, Emily Gelman, Timothy Hatfield, Ashley Hayes, Deanna Hayes, Carolyn Mills, Sierra Rolak, Richard Szymanski, Marissa Somerville, and Beatrice Thomas. I believe many of our fellows are here, so if you wouldn't mind standing for a moment so we can recognize you. As you can see, we were not able to break them of the herding instinct. The next is the Honorable Anselm Cedero Judicial Civility Award. The Honorable Anselm Cedero Judicial Civility Award is presented annually to a sitting judge of the District, Circuit, or Appellate Courts of Maryland who demonstrates exceptional judicial temperament, civility, and courtesy to attorneys, litigants, and others. Judge Cedero stated that courtrooms should be inviting to attorneys and litigants. Judge Cedero believed that while judges must maintain order and control of the courtroom, they should do so in a manner which does not demean or embarrass attorneys, litigants, jurors, or witnesses. He noted that lawyers always sought judges who provided a level playing field. Judge Cedero made it a practice to compliment attorneys and litigants and to recognize in open court the efforts of both sides presenting difficult cases. This award seeks to honor judges with similar qualities. It is with great pleasure that I announce the recipient of the 2022-2023 Judicial Civility Award is the Honorable Nicholas E. Rattal of the Circuit Court for Prince George's County. In the words of those who nominated Judge Rattal, and there were multiple nominations, people said, "The judge runs his courtroom with empathy and fairness for both sides. He has amazing judicial demeanor. He is firm, yet patient and kind. He commands with clear intent to ensure justice is upheld. He treats everyone who walks into his courtroom with equal respect and courtesy. He is equally admired by prosecutors and the defense bar. His courtroom opens on time, and he is pleasant to appear in front of. We will all be sorry to see him retire soon." Unfortunately, Judge Rattal is unable to join us today because he is attending his son's graduation, so it's unfortunate for us, but another kind of celebration for him. We plan to meet Judge Rattal in his chambers after the legal summit to present his award personally. Today, however, Judge C. Philip Nichols, Jr. will accept the award on Judge Rattal's behalf. Judge Nichols. Thank you so much.
Nick said to tell you he's really sorry he couldn't be here, but things just come out sometimes, and his grandson's graduation is something he should have done. We all understand. He is delighted to have had the opportunity to be a member of this association for so long a period of time and to be recognized for his efforts. Thank you on behalf of Nick.
Next, I would like to announce the winners of the Presidential Best Section Awards. There are two categories for Presidential Best Section Awards. The first is presented to the section for a project or programming benefiting the bar membership. This year's award goes to the Business Law section for the Advanced Business Law Institute. The Advanced Business Law Institute, or ABLI, as many refer to it, was held in a hybrid format in April of 2023 and featured esteemed faculty and speakers on topics including giving and receiving profit interests in LLC and business case law review. David Can will be accepting the award on behalf of the Business Law section. David is the incoming chair for the MSBA's Business Law section. The second award is presented to a section programming benefiting the public. This year's recipient is the Young Lawyers section for its 32nd annual charity event. The annual charity event has a tradition of high-quality networking and engagement for our young lawyers, as well as the lawyers that are young at heart, and most importantly, benefits a charity selected by the Young Lawyers Chair. This year's event raised $13,000 for athletes serving athletes. Kerry Smith will be accepting the award on behalf of our Young Lawyers section. Kerry is the outgoing chair of the Young Lawyers section. Next is a category of special recognition. First, I'd like to take a moment to recognize and present an award to my friend Donna Hill Staten. I think I saw Donna, I thought I saw Donna sneak in earlier. Donna was the spark and the driving force behind our 125th anniversary Thought Leadership Initiative Spark Series capstone event. In fact, Donna was the driving force and the imagination behind our entire Spark Leadership series. Donna is, for everyone who knows her, a force of nature. She's passionate about making the legal profession relevant. She's passionate about making us responsible, and she is passionate about educating us on topics that see every day's headlines. Donna put an enormous amount of thought and gave an enormous amount of time to this endeavor. And when I say an enormous amount of time, I don't mean a couple hours a week. Donna probably put hundreds of hours into this effort. She also used her personal connections to bring in speakers and thought leaders who could give us history, but also guide us forward in thinking discussions. Donna has tremendous connections, and they were instrumental in helping us to understand the importance of this program. Donna's will and wherewithal should be studied and serve as an inspiration for us all. Donna is an MSBA luminary. She cares deeply about the legal profession and the bar, and she gave us a gift, an incredible gift, in a program that we as a state bar can all benefit and be proud of for years to come. It is my honor to show our gratitude and present this special award to Donna Hill Staten. Pardon me for a moment. The second award goes to the gentleman sitting to my immediate right, Carl Silverman. Carl has served as MSBA parliamentarian for over 30 years. It's been how long exactly?
32.
32. I don't want to trivialize this. His work is often most visible during Board of Governors meetings and business meetings with critical action items that require thoughtful, robust debate and discussion. His guidance on how to navigate the discussion to ensure everyone's voice is heard and that our Board of Governors and their members are able to make informed decisions is critical and invaluable to all of us as an association. Behind the scenes, Carl makes himself available by phone, email, and text for all of the MSBA officers, the executive director, and other MSBA staff to provide guidance on issues not only relating to the bylaws and Robert's Rules of Order, and I'm sure we have a copy here, do we?
We do.
But also to ensure that the MSBA achieves its goals and objectives. We are a better association, and we are better governed because of Carl's commitment to us all. I want to take a moment to personally thank Carl Silverman for his work during this past year. He has been a constant and reliable source of guidance and advice throughout my presidency. He is stable, he is well thought out, he is respectful at every opportunity, and his goal is to make sure that everyone is heard and that everyone has an opportunity to be heard and to participate. That is a truly valuable asset for all of us. Jason, if you learn one thing from my presidency, it is let it be that Carl Silverman is an excellent resource for you and for our association. Carl, thank you very much. You get something a little different. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't write that in the agenda.
I know. Carl's upset because those words were not in his agenda. Next, we will turn to our in memoriam, a moment of silence for our departed friends and colleagues. I request that all members join me in a moment of silence as we present the names of friends and colleagues of the MSBA who have passed away this past year. Although this next item is not on our agenda, I would like to take a moment to recognize the past presidents of the MSBA who have joined us here today. It is their hard work, dedication, past successes, and efforts that have made our current successes possible. Past presidents, please stand so that we may offer you our gratitude and a round of applause. We now move to the next section of today's agenda, our partnership reports. The MSBA is a great success thanks to the hundreds of volunteers who devote their time to create content, give lectures, and participate on committees and many other activities. The MSBA also relies on important partnerships and relationships with key institutions and individuals. Today we'll hear from three of our valued and essential partners, the Maryland Judiciary, the Access to Justice Commission, and the Bar Association's Insurance Trust. We now turn to our first partner we'll hear from today, represented by the Chief Judges of the District Court of Maryland and the Supreme Court of Maryland, each who will report on the state of the courts over which they preside. The Honorable John P. Morrissey, Chief Judge of the District Court of Maryland. Judge Morrissey is a lifelong resident of Prince George's County. He graduated from James Madison University magna cum laude in Business Administration in 1986. He graduated cum laude from the University of Baltimore Law School, where he was editor-in-chief of the Law Review in 1989. He practiced law until being appointed in 2006 to the District Court of Prince George's County, and then in 2014 to his current position as Chief Judge of the District Court of Maryland. He is also an MSBA member and a great friend to our membership. The Chair recognizes the Honorable John P. Morrissey, Chief Judge of the District Court of Maryland.
Good afternoon, everyone. I typically go after Chief Justice Fader. Is it okay, Chief? Okay. Kind of in an unusual position right here, but thank you all for sticking it out this afternoon. And I hope that you all have found this conference to be as informative, as interesting, and as enjoyable as have I. It's been really a fun 2 days that I've been down here, so thank you all. I have to admit that I have absolutely no musical talent at all whatsoever. In fact, my 5th and 6th grade year in grade school, I faked playing the trumpet for 2 straight years, and my wife won't allow me to sing at all or even hum. But I want to let you know that the presentation by Mr. DeRudy from Fender Guitars this morning, for all of those that saw it, if you didn't see it, you missed an awesome presentation. It was one of the best presentations I've ever been to, and it was a tribute to your all's leadership in bringing Mr. DeRudy here this morning. I'd like to thank you, President Shapiro, for your service for the past year. It's been a great collaboration with you. And your staff has just been awesome here over the last 2 days. They've been so attentive and made sure that everything just went so smoothly. It seemed like clockwork. And I'd also like to thank, or actually congratulate, President-elect DeLoach, particularly because we're from Prince George's County together. He's currently the president of our Prince George's County Bar Association, and so thank you, and I look forward to working with you, President-elect DeLoach. And then to all the many speakers and presenters and the panelists and moderators that were here, I really did find all of the presentations, and I went to every single one, in order over the course of 2 days. I'd like to express my appreciation for them, for their expertise, and for sharing their knowledge and generosity with their time. I first presented at the business meeting in 2014, and Mike Baxter, I see you back there. You were the outgoing president at that time, and Deb Schubert was just coming in. And I asked Mike, I said, Mike, can I have 5 minutes of time at the business meeting? I really need to talk to all the attorneys. And he said, talk to Deb, because I'm only going to be the president for another 3 minutes. So, and Deb was kind enough to allow me a few minutes, and I was here to talk about the appointed attorney program that was coming into effect on July 1st of 2014. I had become the chief judge of the district court on June 1st of 2014, so I had a month to try to recruit and encourage all the attorneys across the state to participate in the appointed attorney program. And I was very nervous when I came here that no one was going to do it. And I have been pleasantly surprised over the last 9 years that it's just been, the bar stepped up. I can't say it any other way. And in fact, it kind of went the other way, that there was very much competition for those spots, and now it's really been integrated into our system. I'm very proud that we're well ahead of many other states in providing that right to defendants immediately upon their arrest when they get in front of a commissioner. So thank you to the bar and those that have served in the role of an appointed attorney program. In those same remarks, I wanted to let everyone know about a fancy new computer system that we were calling MDEC at the time that was going to be piloted in Anne Arundel County in August of 2014. I'm proud to say that I know it's taken a little while, but we're now in 23 of the 24 counties, and we are very excited to go live in Baltimore City on May 6th of 2024. Some of you may also know that we're piloting the landlord-tenant e-filing system in Baltimore County, and it has, we've been in about pilot mode for a little over a year now, and it's ready, we're ready to move it out. To give you an idea, last month in Baltimore County, there were about 12,000 landlord-tenant filings in Baltimore County. 95, and this is voluntary, 9,500 of those were electronically filed. So there's great demand for it. We're very much looking forward to it. It'll make our systems much more efficient, and I think it will allow for better ease of accessing those records. We'll be sharing the schedule very soon. Actually, on Monday when I get back, they're going to present to me the schedule for the rollout for all the other counties, and as soon as we finalize that, I'll share it with the bar and make sure that everyone knows which county's going next and how it's going to work. And then finally, we've been experimenting with artificial intelligence, and we hope that we see great promise in the fact that that's going to help us automize some of our clerk functions and really provide much greater efficiency to the court coming forward. And now, to full disclosure, I had IA prepare these remarks today. Finally, I hope that this conference really does help us remember why we became lawyers, at least harken back to those days when we were new, fresh, brand new to lawyers. And I look back to you guys. You're not fresh and new, but you're younger than a lot of us. And it was really to serve justice and to uphold the rule of law and to make a positive difference. We heard that from Mr. Durutti today, to make a positive difference in everyone's lives. And that my hope is that we carry that mission forward today with renewed energy and with commitment to make it work across the state. So thank you all very much, and I look forward to seeing you at the next conference. David, again. Thank
you. Next, the chair would like the record of the meeting to reflect that the chair was not involved in the order of speakers for today's meeting. But it is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce the Honorable Matthew J. Fader, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Maryland. Justice Fader graduated from the University of Virginia in 1995 and Yale Law School in 1998. He was law clerk to Judge Leonie M. How do you pronounce the name? Brickema. That's what I was going to guess. U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia from 1998 to 1999. Beginning in 1999, he served as a trial attorney for the Civil Division of the U.S. Department of Justice, followed by private practice, after which he served in a series of positions with the Office of the Attorney General from 2012 to 2017, culminating with his appointment as Chief of Litigation for the Civil Litigation Division. He was appointed as a judge at large on the Maryland Court of Special Appeals in 2017, and then Chief Judge of that court in 2018. On April 15th, 2022, he was appointed Chief Judge of the Maryland Court of Appeals, now called the Supreme Court of Maryland, and he is the Chief Justice. He is also a member of the MSBA, and again, we are very, very lucky and privileged to have you as a member and as a friend of our association. The chair recognizes the Honorable Matthew J. Fader, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Maryland.
I'm really not that bad. I sound like a tyrant. No. Thank you very much. Thank you, and congratulations, President Shapiro, on your successful year, and congratulations, President-elect Deloach, and I look forward to working with you. And thank you for this great conference and all these great opportunities. Last year on this Friday of the MSBA convention, I was coming up, and that morning a member of my household tested positive for COVID, which upended not only my plans that day, but our household for a while. I say that as a reminder that although it was great to get back together last year, we were still very much in the throes of COVID, and it was still very much with us. For the Maryland judiciary, this past year has in large part involved a return to normalcy, whatever normalcy looks like on a week dominated by particulate matter that has been falling from wildfires burning hundreds of miles away and generative artificial intelligence dominating our conferences and our conversations and ready to change society in ways that, frankly, we can't fathom right now. But as for the state of the judiciary, I've been given a hard cut, so I'll just hit a few highlights. First, our return to normalcy has involved working through pandemic-created backlogs and trying to assess what we had to do during COVID is worth carrying forward into our post-COVID days. On the backlog front, our courts have made a lot of progress, and most of them are mostly caught up. Those that aren't have plans to catch up and are pursuing them aggressively, so that hopefully by this time next year we'll have worked through that. I know that those plans sometimes put a lot of pressure on attorneys who are dealing with multiple courts trying to work through backlogs in innovative ways, and your cooperation is very much appreciated. On the going forward front, our courts are continuing to try to bring our infrastructure to support more capacity to conduct remote proceedings. We're working on supplementing and advancing Wi-Fi in courthouses where it isn't so good. We're working on rolling out enhancements to allow electronic payment of various fines, fees, and costs where it's not available yet, and working to roll out an online dispute resolution system. Earlier this year, the Supreme Court adopted a new Title 21 of the Maryland Rules, which provides comprehensive rules governing remote proceedings in both civil and criminal cases. It's going to be effective later this year, and I'd encourage everybody who gets involved in those proceedings to become familiar with those rules. On the subject of technology, as Chief Judge Morrissey mentioned, we have two very exciting developments. One is nearing the end of the decade-long project to bring MDEC to all of our courts, and we are very excited that has been the project of really hard work by a lot of people. Chief Judge Morrissey has been out in front of that since it started, and we're very excited to have that rollout coming before the next time we all gather here next year. And the pilot program to bring that one large set of cases that's not included in MDEC to date, the landlord-tenant cases through, which Chief Judge Morrissey has obviously also been very much behind, is another big advancement in our ability to provide uniform services throughout the state that have up-to-date electronic availability. We have been married to technology to help accomplish our mission for some time now, certainly going well before the pandemic, and that's not going to change, and the judiciary is really working hard to leverage that technology to enhance our ability to meet our mission. A second topic, as I'm sure has been referenced several times, at the November 2022 general election, Maryland's voters ratified a constitutional amendment changing the names of our two appellate courts to the Supreme Court of Maryland and the Appellate Court of Maryland, and the titles of those on the Supreme Court to justices. And I reference that just to say, if it's difficult for you to get used to that, it's difficult for us to get used to that as well. I have way too many people apologizing for calling us judge instead of justice. Don't worry, the name tag still says judge. And don't fret, we're used to it. Third, I mentioned the adoption of Title 21 of the Maryland Rules, other significant rule changes that people should be aware of, changes to Rule 2402 relating to expert witness discovery. The new rule adopts the federal approach to dealing to the communications between an attorney and expert witnesses, and that's something that I know has been a topic of interest for a while. Changes to Rule 11 governing petitions for juvenile detention and release, and changes to Title 15 governing petitions for judicial declarations of gender identity and name changes are also significant changes to be aware of. Finally, I'll note, with respect to my court specifically, two exciting developments coming up this fall that I thought you may be interested in. First, on November 3rd of this year, the court will be holding oral arguments at a high school in Prince George's County. The Constitution of the state requires the court to hold its oral argument sessions in Annapolis, but permits the justices to temporarily transfer sittings elsewhere upon sufficient cause. The court earlier this year determined that the educational and community relations benefits of holding oral arguments in the community was more than sufficient cause to begin to do that on a periodic basis. First up this fall is Upper Marlboro, and we're very much looking forward to that. Second, on October 26th, the court will be conducting a posthumous bar admission ceremony for Edward Garrison Draper. Professor Browning, I was supposed to present at an event here. I'm not sure if that happened, but I know a number of you have heard him speak, and he was the one who was the cause of bringing this to our attention, along with Maryland attorney Dominique Flowers and Professor Jose Anderson at the University of Baltimore. The basics of Mr. Draper's situation is that he was a young man in Baltimore City in the 1850s. He graduated from Dartmouth, returned to Baltimore, read for the law, as was the way you got to be a member of the bar back then, and appeared before a Baltimore judge who found him fully and completely qualified to be admitted to the practice of law in Maryland, except that he was not white. He knew that he couldn't be admitted as a black man, but he pursued his training with the intent to take his certificate to Liberia, where he intended to practice law as part of the colonization movement. He is the first known person of color to be found fully qualified to practice law in the state, but to be denied access to that based on his race. Professor Browning, Mr. Flowers, and Professor Anderson filed a petition for Mr. Draper's admission to the bar in March of this year, and the court will be acting on that petition in a ceremony to be held this fall. We're very much looking forward to that as well. So that concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We now turn to our partner, the Maryland Access to Justice Commission, with our friend Ward Coe. After graduating from Princeton University in 1967, Ward B. Coe III served in the United States Marine Corps from 1967 to 1970. He graduated from the University of Maryland Law School in 1973. He began his legal career at Anderson, Coe & King in 1973 and served as an assistant attorney general in Maryland from 1974 to 1977, when he joined Whiteford, Taylor & Preston. He served as the managing partner of Whiteford, Taylor & Preston from 1994 to 2000, and as the chair of its litigation practice from 2002 to 2006. Among many other roles serving the public, he was chair of the Maryland Court of Appeals Standing Committee on Pro Bono Legal Service from 2002 to 2012, and became chair of the Maryland Access Justice Commission in 2015. He is also a member of the MSBA. The chair recognizes Ward B. Coe III, chair of the Maryland Access to Justice Commission.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
I'm very pleased to report to the MSBA on the activities of the Maryland Access to Justice Commission over the last year. We are an independent entity that's powered by the MSBA. We exist to ensure civil justice for all Marylanders, not just for those who can afford it. We are very grateful to Anna Scholl, to the officers of the MSBA, to the Board of Governors, and to the MSBA membership for your continued support. Without you, we would not be able to have the impact that we do. Our strength is in our ability to unite leaders to drive reforms and innovation to make the civil justice system accessible, equitable, and fair for all. Commissioners include community leaders, our law school deans, key legislators, heads of legal aid organizations and funders, and representatives from the judiciary and the MSBA. We are very proud to report that new members include Attorney General Anthony Brown, Chief Counsel to Governor Wes Moore Amanda LaForge, and House of Delegates Judiciary Committee Chair Luke Clippinger. Over the last years, we have been active and had an impact in a number of areas. The first is access to counsel and evictions funding. As many of you know, evictions can destabilize families and cause generational harms. We successfully advocated with many of our Access to Justice partners for an access to counsel and evictions law in 2021. In 2022 and 2023, we succeeded in advocating for funding to fully implement the law through 2027, achieving $67.8 million in public funding. This year, we also successfully transitioned the Delivery of Legal Services section to become a permanent committee of the Commission. We changed our bylaws to ensure that the DLS committee would have autonomy and legislative advocacy and continue to serve as the home of public interest-minded attorneys in the bar. This past session, DLS successfully advocated for the Victim Services Stabilization Act, for an act providing tax clinics for low-income persons, and for the Affordable Life, Wills, and Estate Planning for Seniors grant program, all of which will provide more funding for civil legal aid. We are thrilled to have DLS as part of us and believe that they will greatly strengthen our advocacy. In addition to advocacy in Maryland, we engage in advocacy at the national level through ABA Lobby Day to increase national civil legal aid funding, and by engaging regularly with the newly revived Access to Justice Office in the United States Department of Justice. The Commission also joined forces with the MSBA to form the Affordable Law Task Force, which was the first statewide coordinated effort to explore access to justice needs of Marylanders of modest means. MSBA past President Natalie McSherry, Commissioner Sarah Bowes, and Access to Justice Commission Executive Director Rena Shah led the effort. The goal of this task force was to find win-win solutions to help meet the demand for services while also helping members of the private bar build a financially sustainable law practice. We will soon be publishing a 5-year report on our partnership with the state's law libraries to train public librarians in legal reference so that people can get routed to quality legal information and referrals in their community. Over the past 5 years, we have trained over 1,000 public librarians in the state in this regard. We just concluded a strategic plan update for the next 3 years. We look forward to doing more to elevate the issues of the civil justice system in the public view. We see great promise in working with the governor to reduce poverty and in addressing race equity. We also expect to work more with corporate Maryland to highlight how access to justice affects corporate bottom lines and our economy. Our advocacy will continue to be fueled by compelling stories, hard data, and a race equity lens. Thank you once again to the MSBA for your support and the opportunity to deliver on the promise of justice for all together. Thank you all.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate it. We now turn to our third partner who we'll hear from today, the Maryland Bar Association's Insurance Trust. We'll be joined by C. Philip Nichols, Jr. Judge Nichols graduated from Georgetown University and the University of Baltimore Law School. After private practice, he was appointed to the Orphans Court for Prince George's County in 1977 and became Chief Judge in 1982. He served on the District Court of Maryland from 1985 to 1992. In 1992, he was appointed to the Circuit Court for Prince George's County, where he serves as an associate judge. He has served as a professor at the United States Naval War College and an instructor at the University of Maryland and Prince George's County Police Academies. He is also a member of the Maryland State Bar Association. The chair recognizes the Honorable C. Philip Nichols, Jr., Chair of the Maryland Bar Association's Insurance Trust.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Chief Justice Matt Vader, my big boss. Dean Ron Weiss, who was kind enough to agree not to ask me any hard questions. President Dave, officers and members, I have the distinct honor to deliver to you the report of the Bar Associations, it's Bar Associations plural, trust this afternoon. I succeeded Aaron Kadish, who I might tell you his health is not real good. Aaron is our corporate memory and made whatever happened that I'm about to report about happen over a period of many, many years. All right, next. Here we go. All right, good. The Bar Associations Trust is a joint venture of the Maryland State Bar Association and the Bar Association of Baltimore City. The Montgomery County Bar is a marketing partner. Each year, the trust shares net revenues with the State Bar and the Baltimore City Bar Association to help fund programs. Can I have that slide, please? This is a really good slide. When you say, what'd you do for me lately? What have you done for me? It turns out to be a significant amount of money, and it averaged about $81,000 a year. There are a number of trustees who are here. Could you stand, please? Mike, Grateful's here, Mike's here. Figuring out how we do this is really hard, and managing the trust is something that requires a fair amount of experience that just doesn't happen overnight. So with that, let's go to the next slide. What have you done for me lately? Last year was not a great year for us, or anybody, as you know, but it's coming back. Also, this has been the third year of our expansion with the Bar Association's insurance agency in concert with our exclusive coordinating brokers at the Tribridge Partners. They lead the marketing initiatives in the insurance benefits within our association. We have been working to enhance our in-person presence at events and supporting each Bar Association's initiatives. We are continuing to work to enhance awareness of the Bar Association's insurance agency and enhance members' awareness of the valuable insurance benefits they have as members of our associations. The lanyard you have around your neck has our name on it, by the way. Just so you know, we were there. Okay, next, please. All right. During the course of the year, one of our sections started an inquiry about health insurance, which has been somewhat controversial. In any event, this did not begin on President Dave's watch. In fact, we've even become friends. Actually, it's not going to end on his watch.
It's true.
So in any event, once this data is acquired, we're hoping this little problem goes away of how we're going to deal with health insurance for the association. There appears to be affordable health insurance everywhere. We're not sure that's going to work, at least that was our opinion, and then we all agreed to disagree. And for the moment, that's probably the best way to resolve it, to get all the data in. During the course of this, we found it has benefit to have somewhat of a sense of humor when dealing with difficult problems. And my group decided that maybe it'd be a better idea. For those of you who watch C-SPAN, you may remember the White House Correspondents' Dinner when President Obama brought Luther, the anger translator, forward. Stand up, Michael. Michael was the nominee to be the anger translator. Have a round of applause for my anger translator, please. The other nominee was Tom Waxter, T-Wax to his friends. In any event, we're going to get this resolved. Next slide, please. Those are our objectives for the year. Obviously, doing the very best we can to present to you the options that you have that are beneficial to our association and beneficial to each member. All right, next slide, please. Those are some of the current products and services we have offered. I hate to get up here and sell insurance, but I'm going to get up here and sell insurance. That's why I became a lawyer. It's good to sell much, but in any event, this is working out really well. Some of our lines of coverage have dropped in overall benefit to us. Our life insurance, for example, we're losing more members than we can afford for a lot of reasons. Certainly the trust needs the business, stay healthy. If you have insurance with us, we'll do all we can to keep you healthy. We thought about buying everybody a a gym membership just to keep this moving along. But in any event, stay healthy, gang. It's helping us a lot the longer you contribute to the fund. All right, next one. These are some of our marketing initiatives that we put out. A lot of it is just going and being and talking to members and making them aware of what they have. And we've been in the insurance business for a long time. This started with professional liability insurance. As you all remember, the Maryland, I can't even pronounce it, the Maryland Chirological Society, the Maryland Medical Society started an insurance plan, which was great, and then complained about how terrible lawyers were for suing them all the time, suing their pants off. And then what happened later was they had too much money and had to declare a dividend because they weren't paying out enough to justify what they were taking in. In any event, the Bar Association did, in fact, start a professional liability program. This is when I was on the Board of Governors a long time ago. In any event, we're trying to bring back anything that we think will be helpful to the organization, and we'll continue to do that. And I think I'm the only thing standing with this in the end, right?
No.
There's more. All right. Well, I'm going to quit now. I'd like to thank Ron Weiss for not putting me on the spot. Thank you, and I'll be around here if anybody has any questions. Thank you all. We appreciate all you do. I'm grateful for what Aaron has done for us. We should never forget his contributions to this organization ever. We'll continue in the spirit of Aaron Kadish to make this thing work. Thank you all very much.
We now move to this next section of today's agenda, which is new business, the proposed amendments to the Maryland State Bar Association's bylaws. The sole item of new business today concerns this proposed change to the Maryland State Bar Association's bylaws. Is there a motion from the member of the Bylaws Committee for the membership to approve the committee's proposed amendments to the MSBA bylaws?
Mr. President, I make a motion to approve the proposed amendments to the bylaws as outlined in the clean and comparison copies available on the MSBA website within the conference mobile app and included with the MSBA official notice of the annual meeting.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deloach. Prior to taking discussion on the topic, I'll ask our Executive Director, serving in her capacity as teller, to report on any proxy votes received.
At this time, we've received 117 timely proxies from voting members of the association, with 88 in favor and 29 opposed.
So is the chair correct that we have received 117 timely proxies from voting members of the association, with 88 in favor and 29 opposed?
Correct.
Is there any other discussion related to the proposed amendments? Judge Kadish.
I just have a point of order as to the voting procedure. I would make a motion that the vote be done by secret ballot. Because of there may be associates who wish to vote differently than their partners. There may be judges who wish to vote differently than a different judge on their court, etc.
So the question for the membership present is whether the membership present would like to have the vote of today's count be by secret ballot versus have the vote be oral. So what we'll do is we'll use, for members that are here, you should have received a voting card. Does someone have a sample voting card? So you should have a blue voting card. No, you're going to need that. Oh, looks like this. So the question is whether people in attendance, members in attendance, would like for the vote to be done by secret ballot versus by a show of hands.
Keep in mind that there's a time limit, in terms of the agenda, so this is all part of the process.
Okay. So for those members who would like for the vote today to be done by a show of hands, please raise your cards and hold them in the air until we tell you to put them down.
Tellers will be working.
This is a vote on whether the membership present would like to have today's vote on the bylaws be had by a show of hands or by a secret ballot. So the question on the floor now is for those members who would like to have the vote by a show of hands, please raise your blue card in the air and hold them until the tellers have counted, and I will let you know when to put them down. We want to make sure we get this correct for everybody. Put them nice and high. Yes, ma'am.
My question is, how would, if we were to vote by secret ballot, how would that work from an administrative standpoint with the staff? How are they going to create the ballots and how would that happen?
In the event the majority of the voting membership would like for the vote to be done by secret ballot, we have Sharpie markers that we can pass around, and people will write their vote on their blue voting card and turn those in as the ballot. Yes, ma'am. All right, so we go back to the vote on the floor. The question in front of the membership is if the membership would like to have the vote done by a show of hands or by secret ballot. So again, if you would like today's vote to be conducted by a show of hands, please raise your card in the air and hold it until the tellers have an opportunity to check. Yeah, raise them nice and high.
Remind you to keep them up until, because this may take a minute or so.
We are counting the old-fashioned way, so don't let gravity take charge here. Want to hold that up nice and high until we get that done. We're thinking next year AI can just scan the room like that and tell us what the vote is.
25. It comes from Montana.
All right. You didn't know you were going to get a workout at today's meeting. Okay. Thank you very much. You may lower your cards. If you would like for today's vote to be done by secret ballot, please raise your blue card in there and hold them up until we let you know. I'm sorry, Gary, this is voting if you would like the vote to be done by secret ballot. Okay. So noted. Hmm?
Thirty-eight for the ballot. Yeah, I wouldn't use secret, just by ballot. It's 38, yeah.
The vote, you may lower your cards, thank you. The vote today will be done by written ballot. So the procedure that we will use is for people who would like to vote, you will use the blue voting cards that you just held in the air. We do have magic markers, so by all means, this may take a little bit to make sure that we can circulate the markers. If you have a pen that can write on your card legibly, that is fine. Is there any other discussion? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
If you abstain, you do not have to turn in your card. When we get there, I'll let you know that. There's another.
Explain the procedure now. There will be a debate on the question for the next 20 minutes. That's,
Okay.
you know,
So the procedure that we will follow, is if there is further debate, we will continue with debate. If people are ready to vote, we can certainly move on to the vote. When we get to the vote, what we will have you do is we will have you write on your card, legibly if you can, yes, if you are in favor of the proposed bylaw amendments. Again, if you are in favor of the proposed bylaw amendments, you will write yes on your card. If you are opposed to the proposed bylaw amendments, you will write no on your card. So again, if you are in favor of the proposed bylaw amendment, you will write yes. If you are opposed to the bylaw amendment, you will write no. Okay, the chair recognizes Jason Deloach, a member of the Bylaws Committee who made the motion.
In considering your vote for this very important bylaw amendment proposal, I want you to keep in mind that this was a very long process in the making. We had a committee, a strategic planning committee, that made certain recommendations to this body to improve the MSBA as a whole. It was not to improve necessarily Prince George's County or any other county. What it was designed to do is make the MSBA relevant going forward to all. And while some people in some jurisdictions may not feel as though that it's going to help their jurisdiction, what it's designed to do is to help the MSBA. For some of the outer counties that don't have representation or do not feel that they have adequate representation, this is designed to help those jurisdictions feel included. Now, when you think about how you're going to vote, think about how this vote will necessarily damage your jurisdiction. It won't. In my opinion, it won't damage your jurisdiction. Because if we have a better MSBA, it's better for all of us. And I understand the pull. I'm currently the president of the Prince George's County Bar Association. But when I'm sitting here with the Maryland State Bar Association, I have to think what's in the best interest of the Maryland State Bar Association. And we've had a lot of people for many years put in a lot of work to try to make recommendations to this body and to the Board of Governors, which approved this, to make the MSBA better. That's what this vote is all about. There's some people who are taking, a narrow view of it, and I understand it. But you have to look at the collective amendments as a whole to see how this is going to help the MSBA. I, for one, think this is going to help the MSBA. Your Board of Governors thinks this is going to help the MSBA. So I hope when you're putting down your vote that you will take that into consideration. Look at it as a whole and not as a very small portion. Because if you can honestly say that you think these amendments as a whole are going to damage the MSBA, then you vote no. If you can honestly say that. I don't think you can honestly say that. I really don't. Because we're talking about the MSBA and not one particular jurisdiction. We're talking about all of the jurisdictions as a whole. That's what a state bar association is all about. It's not about Prince George's County. It's not about Somerset County. It's about the entire state. So I ask that you vote in favor of these amendments and recognize the hard work that happened over years, not months, to bring this proposal to the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Deloach. Are there other comments or other discussion? Judge Kadish.
Just to respond briefly, this was a close vote on the board. So when Mr. Deloach says the board voted yes, the board voted this way by 3 votes. when it came down to it. Number two, the original plan was to shrink the board and give one vote to each district. That's what was worked on for years. This last proposal, because I've been on the board during the 2-year term when this has gone on, was first raised, all these changes, in May of last year. So how long something was worked on shouldn't be the basis for your decision. How hard it was worked on shouldn't be the basis for your decision. Your decision should be based on how you feel about the change. As someone who has been involved in this organization for 31 years, been with it through every single thing it has gone through, these changes are a mixed bag. And while some of the things that are proposed are okay, some of the things are not okay. The board did not make the decision to roll these into a singular vote on everything. That was done by someone else. We weren't given an option to split the good from the bad. Instead, like a pill that your dog or your child doesn't want to take, it's been wrapped in something else to disguise the bitter taste. The board could have easily been offered the option to vote on each individual amendment, some of which are very good, but some of them are very bad. They will not garner inclusiveness or diversity to the extent that there are promises that it will. There was an indication that the board is perceived as a clique that you have to be in, and the only people that are in are active, when the truth of the matter is taking away democratically elected representatives from jurisdictions to give to a nominating committee as yet unnamed, as yet whose guidelines are not written or clear, but will be selected by those in power, creates a perception of more cliquishness. It does not create a perception of more inclusion. It's those in power selecting those who are going to join. Not the same as Baltimore City, for example, where we elect our Board of Governors representatives democratically. Additionally, I'm a person who believes in one person, one vote. And yes, so maybe Somerset County or Allegheny County, where, by the way, congratulations to Justin Ullman, who's being invested today as a circuit court judge out there. There are only 7 lawyers in his county. Their representation is slightly less than Baltimore City, Prince George's, Montgomery, because of the interests of only 7 lawyers are represented in Allegheny County. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but that's the way most representative bodies work, by representation.
Thank you. Mr. Santini. Please. Or Shaila has a mic if that's preferable.
No, take hers. Take hers.
Take her?
No, Ralphie, take hers.
Take hers?
Yeah,
Sure.
take hers.
That's easier.
Take it over.
The amendments to the bylaws are exactly the point of representation. The motto of the Maryland State Bar is "You belong here." "You belong here" evolved from the concept of DEIA, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. The Maryland State Bar should be a diverse bar association. The Maryland State Bar should be an equitable bar association. The Maryland State Bar should be an inclusive bar association. And the Maryland State Bar should be an accessible association. Linear thinking from the DEA concepts takes you to the evolution of the bylaws that we're talking about. The objective of the bylaws are to create room for new voices for the Maryland State Bar Board of Governors by adding new pathways of leadership. And what we're talking about is allowing the Alliance of Black Women to have a voice, the Asian Pacific American Bar Association to have a voice, the Black Women's Bar Association to have a voice, the J. Franklin Bourne Bar Association to have a voice, the LGBTQ plus Bar Association to have a voice, the Maryland Association for Justice to have a voice, the Maryland Hispanic Bar to have a voice, the Maryland Volunteer Lawyers to have a voice, the South Asian Pacific Association to have a voice, the Women's Bar Association to have a voice, and the Women's Law Center to have a voice. That is representation that we do not have. It took me 34 years to reach this level here. It is very difficult to climb through a large bar association, and most of these people that I'm describing to, that I just described, do not have that access. Additionally, another objective is to encourage engagement of the sections through the Board of Governors. The sections will have an opportunity to come into the Board of Governors a lot easier using the bylaws. It also identifies and recruits and develops new leaders by designating through the Young Lawyers members of membership. What we need is a more diverse and open bar association. And the bylaws, the way they're put together, okay, only makes sense if they're put together. The segmentation and the removal of sections make absolutely no sense. So I would appreciate if you would vote for the bylaw amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Santini. In the back, please.
My question is just out of curiosity, how are the local and specialty bars going to be involved? Because I didn't see that in the bylaws. Are they going to be part of the nominating committee since it's only 7 members?
Yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah.
The way that it is structured in the proposed amended bylaws is that there would be a nomination committee. That nomination committee is charged with looking at the then current makeup of the board. And based on where there is a lack of representation on the then current makeup, they are charged with identifying individuals to help round out the diversity and the inclusiveness of the board. That committee does not vote for the people. That is a nominating committee. The individuals who are selected or identified by that committee are then presented to the then sitting Board of Governors. It is up to the then sitting Board of Governors. These are the individuals who are elected through the districts and the individuals who are elected through the sections. They vote on the individuals that are presented to the nominating committee. It is intended to be set up where there is a check and balance on the individuals being nominated and the voting process for it.
I understand that part, but where is the actual local and specialty bar involvement? Because the nominating committee is its own separate entity. So where are they going to be receiving nominations from local and specialty bars? That's really my question.
The way that it's structured, they are charged with looking at the then current makeup of the board and identifying where there is a lack of representation. So if there is a lack of representation from a specific specialty bar, they are charged with trying to identify an individual. When this came up in front of the Board of Governors for discussion, it was decided that it wasn't prudent to identify specific representation from specific constituencies because the intent is, or the expectation is, that that will change over time as new individuals are elected to the board through the membership of the districts and through the various sections.
Recognize another speaker. Remind me about the time, too.
Wally.
I was a member of the Board of Governors when this discussion started. It was very contentious then. I wasn't at the meetings for the last 2 years, but I would suppose that if the vote was only 3 votes, one way or the other, it had to continue to be contentious. My question is, how many members of the Maryland State Bar Association are there?
Do you have a recent membership report?
Lawyers. Those who would be entitled to vote.
Do you have a number of voting? We'll look it up.
Well, the question is, okay. The point I'm
Well, is
trying
it-
to make, since
Well,
that number
Bob,
doesn't...
the question was about voting members, not total members. So, no, he asked how many voting members there were.
Those who would be entitled to vote if they were here.
Right. Not all of our membership is voting members.
Suffice to say, whatever that number is, if you add the number of those who voted by proxy beforehand, if you added the total number that are here today voting, I would suspect the total number voting on this dramatically revision of one of the principal pillars of the MSBA is probably less than 5%, maybe even less than 1%. Maybe even less than 0.5%. I would suggest this whole procedure be thrown out. If you're going to make this a democratic institution, which is what I hear, then conduct your voting online to all voting members. Give them what your plan is, have one comment before, one comment against, and let them vote.
Thank you. Unfortunately, our bylaws as they are currently written do not allow for online voting, so that may be a future amendment that we have to look at. And in response to your question, this association has always voted through annual meetings. These are open meetings. Any member that has an interest in a position that comes before this association is welcome to attend. There is no cost to attend this meeting. They are welcome to be here. They are welcome to have their voices heard. They are welcome to vote just like any other member. So I appreciate, one, that the number of people here is not what we would like. You know, we are an association of approximately 18,000 members. We're getting you a voting member number. However, you know, if we look, this was an excellent turnout this year. We had about 710 attendees. Not all of those members, some of those were guests. So I think we had about 600 some odd registrations for the meeting. So you can see if we have 18,000 members and 600 that show up, you know, we're only able to deal with the numbers that we are provided. Do we have a voting number?
There are 3 minutes left in it.
Are you ready for the next question?
No, we'll move on to the next individual. Roland.
I have the mic. Hello, I do have the
That's
mic.
okay. The chair is recognizing Roland.
Why? I'm a woman of color asking a question in a room where you're seeking diversity. Why? And I have the mic. I waited my turn. Why would you go to someone else?
Roland, I'll come to you next, by all means.
That was interesting. So my question is, first part of my question is, did you contact any of the local and specialty bars and discuss their inclusion in Board of Governors in this process?
Anna Scholl and I attended a meeting of the Baltimore City Bar Association Executive Committee to respond to any questions that they had to offer. Okay. They asked us no questions.
Okay,
They simply introduced us and thanked us for joining them.
No. I'm sorry. You're okay. I'm sorry. Actually, I will. Full disclosure, I am a member of the Baltimore City Bar Association, but in addition to that, I am a member of Monumental Bar Association. I'm a member of the Alliance of Black Women Attorneys. Mr. Santini, in his arguments, specifically referenced a desire to reach out to those specialty bars. And so my question again is, what conversations did you have, if any, with the local and specialty bars that you sought to engage with and include and create an inclusive environment with?
Thank you. The chair recognizes that there's 2 minutes remaining in our time for discussion. In response to your question, we reached out to the membership, the voting membership of the Maryland State Bar Association. We had, on the information that was sent out, we had, and I don't have the number in front of it, it was in the slides, approximately 1,100 page views, 1,500 individual clicks on the information that was sent out. We received 11 comments in response. All but 2 were in favor of the proposed amendments. Of the ones that were received that were not in favor, one had to do with requesting that smaller districts be allocated more seats, and I forget what the other issue was. But so in response to your question, we did not specifically reach out to any of the specialty bar associations, nor did we specifically reach out to any of the local bar associations, because they are not the voting members.
Okay, and so thank you for that. And if your intent, as I've heard from Mr. Santini, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is to engage with members who do not have access to this forum and to engage them and have them be a part of the Board of Governors, what efforts will you make to be inclusive if you have not done so as part of this process? Because many members of the Alliance of Black Women Attorneys, many members of Monumental City Bar Association, Hispanic Bar Association, other members of those associations are also MSBA members. And so if you're seeking to reach a wider audience and have more inclusivity, what efforts are you making? And it is unclear to me what efforts this committee that the president, would create to seek these diverse members who don't have representation or voices. What are your efforts going to be?
I believe the question is directed to you.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, the concept of the nominating committee is to look at the constitution of the board on an annual basis. Looking at what the constitution of the board is, that committee is charged with finding where there is a lack of representation from segments of the legal profession in Maryland. That is not specified to be one specific group or one specific class. The intent is that nominating committee will find where there is a lack of representation, and they will make recommendations to the Board of Governors how they can supplement the then existing makeup of the board to try to provide greater representation.
Okay. I would finally just recommend that the committee consider its own diversity and inclusion efforts and consider attending many of the classes that you promote, like microaggressions and other things like that, because you really want to be mindful of your own conduct and how you present things and how you speak to people, and also how you disregard people and make them feel that they are not included in organizations such as these. So you just want to be mindful of your own words and actions as you seek people to vote on something where you're trying to promote equity and inclusion.
Thank you. Our time. Our time is up and the question has been called. So, a question or?
Postpone the proceeding. So if the majority wish to postpone it, they can do that.
Yes, sir.
I agree that the point of order needs to be recognized as a matter of parliamentary rule. And two, you've set a time limit. First, that you set a time limit on debate. My understanding is in a group like this, you have to set the time limit and the rules of debate by consensus of the organization if you're going to limit that time. Am I wrong on that, Carl?
We did that. That was included in the agenda for the meeting that was approved at the beginning of the meeting.
I didn't hear that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And the motion is actually after the debate. So the motion to postpone
Since the motion to postpone the vote came after the time limit for the discussion for the meeting, it would be out of order. Yeah.
So the question is,
I'm sorry, Mr. Clyde, you're out of order.
well, whether they're even going to consider the motion to postpone. The motion to table is out there. It's a motion to postpone.
So the question before the membership is whether or not the vote on this issue should be postponed. We will again vote on that with a showing of cards. So please, for all of those who would like for this motion to be postponed, please hold your card in the air so it can be viewed. For those of you who would like this motion postponed, please hold your card in the air. And hold it up there until the teller can see everybody's card.
So if a majority wish to postpone,
I know it's hard, but can you keep your hands still, please? It's very difficult to count. Thank you.
Thank you. Please put your hands down. For those who would like the vote to occur today, please raise your cards up in the air and hold them there while they're counted.
and the effect of the majority will not give.
Again, please make sure you're holding those cards high so we can get this right.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Sure. Get it. No problem.
hands up for the, have the vote today again, please.
Sorry, we had a number of people moving around. So again, if you're voting to have the vote today, please get the cards up. We appreciate people are getting tired, but we want to make sure we got this right. Thank you. May I lower your hands?
So take your numbers. Let your teller.
The teller will report the numbers of the vote.
We had 30 for postpone and 33 for keep.
The vote will take place today. So we will now vote. We are doing this by written ballot. If you need a pen or marker, please, we will make sure that everybody has an opportunity. I don't know how many markers we have, but please raise your hand so the staff can see you. Again, if you are voting in favor of the proposed bylaw amendments, if you are voting in favor of the proposed bylaw amendments, please write yes on your voting card. If you are in favor of the proposed bylaw amendments, please write yes on your voting card. If you are opposed to the proposed bylaw amendments, please write no on your voting card. If you are opposed to the proposed bylaw amendments, please write no on your voting cards. Once you have had those, please make sure that one of the tellers that are walking the room collect your card. Please don't aggregate cards. Please let them collect the card directly from you. Don't pass them to the aisle. Don't send them forward. Please hold your card until the tellers can collect your card directly from you. Thank you. We got to get it right. It's got to be right. I agree. Yes, sir.
Chair, I have a further question, however, you've got members of the staff who are voting. How do we know what pressure has been applied to them? And are they paid members?
I can say that I have not had any discussions with the staff to know the answer to that question. All I know is that the members of the staff that are MSBA members are entitled to vote.
Well, it was not a secret vote on whether we had to vote or not. That was an open vote. The only secret vote.
I don't know what you said.
That was a vote on whether to have a vote. And that then becomes an open vote. And how you vote would be visible to everyone else. If anything is going to be done, there should have been a secret vote on the vote itself.
Ballot, and that's what is being done.
The original motion was to have the ultimate vote on the issue by ballot. It was not to have all other votes by ballot. That was not the motion that was made. That was not the motion that was approved.
When was that motion made and approved?
Earlier during this meeting. Question? We're not, unfortunately, the time for discussion has ended, so no more comments, please. Yeah, of course. Of course. Yes, sir. Yes. By ballot. Yes, the ones. Of course it matters. Everybody's entitled to vote. Everybody in this room that is a voting member is entitled to vote.
The proxies will be added to what comes out of this, in case there's any issue on that. If you care to remind them of this, I think that was what was just discussed.
Where's the voting taking place?
I think it was a count.
Yeah. Anna, I believe as the vote is done, this gentleman would like to observe the vote, so please make sure that he's included. The body will stand at ease while the count is being conducted. You should destroy these. It's all good. That's certainly my
We don't, those that signed the list, the presidents that were with you supporting, any of them here today? Or not too much. Well, the ones in supporting, the ones that, remember, there's an issue whether you could join the past president in supporting the bylaw amendments.
Oh. Yeah, but and I think that creates a very sensitive situation. It's going to be close.
Randy, how you doing, man? Are you having fun?
we call people to order? Can we call people to order?
Yeah, I just like a brief second to do math.
Okay. One moment. If the membership would begin to come back to order.
So, Alice checking to make sure she's added in the proxies now. She'll give the numbers, state the numbers as the teller. Then it's your role as president to repeat what she's given you. That's the tellers of the board you're hearing with the effect of it, obviously.
Okay, the teller of the meeting is in the process of adding in the proxies to the vote that was taken here. So we are just waiting to hear what the results of that are. So should have some information momentarily. I believe math is happening, so they exclude me from that. Very smart. Can't see that. The teller will read the results of the vote.
We had 192 total votes between the proxies and in-person votes, 130 in favor, 62 opposed, for 67.71% in favor.
And that's, you restate that as the teller's report.
I do not have all those numbers. Can you restate that on my behalf?
192 total votes were received between the proxies and in-person votes. 130 of those were in favor, 62 of those were opposed, for 67.71% in favor.
Being that this is a proposed amendment to the bylaws, this requires a 2/3 approval. It has received a 2/3 approval. The motion carries. We now move on to the next section of today. Oh, I apologize. I'd like to thank everybody in attendance. I know that was a difficult process, but this is what membership is about. This is what governance is about. So I appreciate everybody's participation. I appreciate people's decorum. I appreciate people participating in the way that they did. This is what it's about. So thank you very much. And once again, I appreciate my parliamentarian for helping me figure out how this is all supposed to work. Now we will move on to the next section of today's agenda, which is the election of our officers. The chair is now pleased to present the report of the Board of Governors acting as the nominating committee for the Maryland State Bar Association. For President-elect, Raphael J. Santini. For Secretary, W. Carl Eisler. And for Treasurer, Marisa Trasadi. If there is no objection to the slate of officers named to serve in their respective positions, those named will be elected. There is no objection, so I'd like to extend my congratulations to President-elect Raphael Santini, Secretary Carl Eisler, and Treasurer Marisa Trasadi. The chair now welcomes Raphael J. Santini to the stage to join the officers for the 2023-2024 bar year. The chair... The chair also welcomes our very honorable and very patient Honorable Matthew J. Fader, Chief Justice of the Maryland Supreme Court, to administer the oath of office to our officers for the 2023-2024 Board of Governors year. we are stopping for a commercial break, which is actually to allow the current president-elect's family to join us.
I have two very anxious 4-year-old twins that we didn't want to bring them in here until it was time. And you will see why. So thank you for your patience.
They bought a long commercial break.
They probably have to find my kids. They're probably running around.
I think everybody will agree that was worth the wait. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to welcome back the Honorable Matthew J. Fader, Chief Justice of the Maryland Supreme Court, to administer the oath of office to our officers and our 2023 Board of Governors members. If there are members of the 2023-2024 Board of Governors in the audience, we would ask that you also rise and join the officers in taking their oath. Justice Fader, I turn it over to you.
Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear. That I will support and implement. The bylaws of the Maryland State Bar Association. And to the best of my ability. Carry out the obligations. Imposed by the Code of Professional Responsibility. That I will. In fulfilling the responsibilities of my office. Maintain the highest standards of service. To the bar. The bench. And the public. I am pleased to declare you duly elected and installed officers and board members of the Maryland State Bar Association with all the rights, privileges, duties, and responsibilities appertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Thank you once again, Chief Justice Fader, and congratulations to the MSBA officers and Board of Governors for our 2023-2024 bar year. At this time, it is my distinct pleasure, and I respectfully request that all present on the dais, except for Jason DeLoach, clear the dais. And with that, I will conclude my role today being recognizing the new chair of this meeting, President and the Honorable Jason DeLoach, 2023-2024 President of the Maryland State Bar Association.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, after that very contentious, heartfelt meeting we had We were able to work through our differences, and we got our bylaws passed, and I want to thank you again for participating here today. David, I want to thank you. I am honored to stand where you stood a year ago. You are an excellent lawyer, you were a fantastic president, and an example to us all. It has been my pleasure to witness and work with you this year, and I can definitely say that David and I are no longer colleagues, we're friends. We are friends. And I think everyone will agree that you did a fantastic job as president, and we will miss you. But he ain't going anywhere. He's going to be an immediate past president that I'm sure is going to be very active because I have his cell phone number, I know where he lives, and I look forward to working with him. Now, I do have a little bit of insight on helping lead bar associations. Next week, I will be passing the gavel and end my term as president of the Prince George's County Bar Association. I thoroughly enjoyed my time working with the Prince George's County Bar Association. Helping to lead an organization that helped raise me as a lawyer was truly satisfying. I have to thank my board, the members of the Prince George's County Bar Association, for helping me get through what was an amazing year as president. A very special thanks to my boss for the next 3 days, Robin Haddon, who is our executive director of the Prince George's County Bar Association. I could not have done it without her. Unfortunately, Robin couldn't be here, and she's here in spirit, but I wanted to give her a heartfelt thanks. She helped me throughout the year, and she provided sage counsel to me throughout the year. And I'm also honored to follow in the footsteps of Judge Richard Southern, who was a circuit court judge in Prince George's County for many years. But he was the last Prince George's County person to help run this organization some 20-some-odd years ago. And when he found out that I was involved in the MSBA, he told me, strive to be president of that organization. He was the first one to put that bug in my ear. I wasn't thinking about it then, but I began to think about it. And I want to thank him for having confidence in me to me making that suggestion. So thank you, Judge. I can tell you this, running Prince George's County has helped prepare me for running the MSBA. Now, the two associations are drastically different in size. Prince George's County is not as large as MSBA, but we have issues that are the same. I can say with full confidence that my time as president of the Prince George's County Bar Association will help me lead the MSBA, and I think the MSBA is on an excellent track to thrive in a future that is coming faster than we ever thought, bringing exciting opportunities, but also major challenges. Our future is bright in large part to the past presidents I've had the pleasure to serve under while I was with the MSBA. It started under Sarah Arthur, and I really got heavily involved under Judge Trufer, Dana Williams, Judge Skirty, Natalie McSherry, and of course, David Shapiro. The experience I gained from them and the unique challenges they encountered during their bar years have helped me shape certain goals with confidence for the MSBA in the 23-24 bar year. Now, before I discuss my goals, I want to share with you a little bit about myself that maybe you don't know. In addition to practicing administrative law, civil litigation, and municipal law, where I represent 8 local governments in Prince George's County, with my law firm of Alexander and Cleaver, I am also a judge of the Orphans Court. Like you, I see much is changing in our world, much good, and some very dangerous. What keeps me grounded and what keeps me focused is my family. Anyone who knows me understands what my family means to me. Simply put, my family means everything to me. No doubt without them, I would not be here today, taking on this tremendous responsibility. It's because of them and the examples that they've set for me as the youngest of 3 children of Johnny and Thelma DeLoach, My brother and sister are here with me. The examples that my family set for me as I grew up as the youngest child has prepared me for this day. My parents are no longer with us. Lost my father in February of 2021. And I don't know how fate happens that way, but on that very day, the anniversary, 1-year anniversary of his death, I was sworn in to become an orphans court judge. I know my parents are looking down at their young, spoiled, rotten, brat little boy and are very happy with him. Yes, I was spoiled. I was the youngest, and it took me years to realize that I was spoiled. But they always instilled in us to be respectful and to be educated and to always, always work hard. We always talk about my father. My father never took any time off. My mother would look at his leave slip at the end of the year and say, "What are you doing?" He was a hard worker, and he instilled that in all of us. And that's part of the reason why I'm here today. Now, I mentioned my brother and my sister, Pamela and Johnny DeLoach. I was the youngest, and they always took care of me, always. And this is the part where I get choked up. I can never, ever think of one instance when my brother or my sister said anything that was against my best interest. They always looked out for their baby brother. I thank you for being the brother and the sister that you are, that you've always been, and that you will continue to be. So thank you to Johnny and Pamela DeLoach Jupiter. Now, many people have asked me over the years, and leading up to this, Jason, how do you do it? You're everywhere. You're heavily involved with 2 bar associations, running the Prince George's County Bar Association, president-elect of the Maryland State Bar Association, my board work, busy law practice, being a new judge, and a father of 4-year-old twins. People say, how do you do it? Well, I always give the same answer, and that is my wife, Kathleen DeLoach. She is a superwoman. She is an extraordinary wife, but she's a better mother. I could not do what I do being the night lawyer. I represent local governments, and I'm everywhere all the time at night. But she's keeping our house a home, and she's making sure that our 2 little jewels are always good. Baby, thank you. And in June of 2024, you got your hubby back. And to my 2 little twins, Jaden and Jaylyn, everybody knows you because Daddy talks about you all the time. I say, you see this gray hair? That's Jaden. You see this gray hair? That's Jaylyn. They are clearly the apple of my eye. And Daddy does all of this, and Mommy does all she does for you. So, now that you know my family is the key to who I am as a man, who is the key to the MSBA? The answer is you, the members, who are here today, who are watching online, and who see the Legal Summit highlights in Maryland Bar Journal and the MSBA social media. You, the thousands of members of the MSBA, each with your own strengths, personality, and knowledge, keep the MSBA grounded, strong, and vibrant. You make the MSBA what it is, the home of our legal profession. Among the members, there's one group I would love to thank, and I'd like to thank specially, the past presidents. I know this is not an easy job, and I know that you have guided the MSBA with a steady hand. And now here we are, stronger than ever, basically based on the work that you've done on this and you continue to do on behalf of this association. I have been approached by several past presidents in the weeks and days leading up and at this very conference, and everyone had the same message. Call me if you need me. That's what the MSBA is all about. We are who we are based on the people who have worked through this organization and continue to work through this organization. So I want to thank you on behalf of our 40,000 legal professionals for what you do and what you've done in the past. Thank you very much. I also want to thank my colleagues at my law firm of Alexander and Cleaver, my only legal home since I graduated from the University of Baltimore. I want to thank Todd Pounds and Jim Cleaver for taking on the monumental responsibility of handling some of my cases over the next year. I am going to need them, but they have welcomed my challenge with open arms, and I sincerely appreciate it. I also want to thank my colleagues on the Orphans Court. I want to thank my boss, my Chief Judge Wendy Cartwright, and Associate Judge Athena Malloy Groves. They have helped me become what I think is a very effective judge. I sat with them, I learned, and now I'm out on my own, and they have been terrific in dealing with my schedule and answering every question that I've ever had as a new lawyer, as a new judge. So I thank them immensely. Now, to my goals that I want to get accomplished in my bar year. Now, these are not in the order of importance. One goal is to make sure that the public gets a true and accurate picture of what lawyers actually do. We need a facelift. And what we are right now, the legal profession is on trial. We have some very important cases that are bouncing around in our courthouses. We all know what we're talking about. And that is going to put the legal profession on trial. Many people don't have any contact with the legal profession. They don't go to court. I would say 70% of them never go in a court of law. So how do they shape their thoughts and what they believe the legal system is? They see it on the boob tube. They see it on TV. They see it on social media. And what they're seeing right now is not very good. You have lawyers getting caught up in the passions of their clients and become mouthpieces for the diarrhea that's coming out of their mouths. What happened to us? That's what people are asking. What kind of lawyer does this? We have a lawyer right now who is who's already turned state evidence, a convicted lawyer for tax fraud and tax evasion, who is ready to testify against his client in a criminal court of law. I think you guys know who I'm talking about. It's a New York lawyer about to testify in a case against a former president of the United States. Now, I don't care what political spectrum you fall on, if you're a Republican or you're a Democrat. As lawyers, that should be offensive to you. That somebody who assisted this man in breaking the law is now ready and prepared to testify in a court of law against his client. I have a major problem with that. And I'm a Democrat. I have a major problem with that. And I think as lawyers, we have the responsibility to make sure that people who don't quite understand the way the legal process works, to look at things objectively and explain to them, even if you're in a room with a bunch of Democrats and they want to see our former president go to jail, it's incumbent upon you to tell them what the truth is and be objective and say, that is wrong. A lawyer should not be testifying, in my opinion, against the client under these circumstances. And the only reason why he's doing it is because he doesn't like the way that his client treated him when he was in legal jeopardy. That's not what lawyers are all about, and that is not what the public should base their opinions on what a lawyer is all about. So as we go forward with this year, I want to make sure that we give our profession a facelift. And we've started this, but we need to start it again. We need to complete it. We need to let the public know that as lawyers, we are your advocates, that we will do the best we can to represent you. Now, what happens when people don't trust the legal system? They don't use it. People who need it don't use it. So that person who is suffering pain at the hands of someone who's supposed to love them, beating them in their own house, if they don't trust the legal system, they're not going to go and get the help they need. Or better yet, if you want to look at it from a business standpoint, if they don't trust the legal system, those clients are not going to come in your office and look for representation. What they're seeing on TV is not what the legal system is all about. As a judge, an orphans court judge, we have the highest court in our land. We have justices of the U.S. Supreme Court being questioned about their objectivity because they are taking, not bribes, can't say that, but they are taking gifts from people, huge gifts from people. Now, if people think the justices of the United States Supreme Court are on the take, what are they going to think when they come in my courtroom? I'm low man on the totem pole. It does the bar no good, and it does society no good. So I think one of my objectives is to try to help educate the citizens of Maryland to let them know what the true legal profession is all about. Another goal of mine, and every president who's ever been a part of this association, we have to find a way to maintain and increase membership. It's the lifeblood of what we do. We are a voluntary bar association. That means that people don't have to join this bar association. We have to make sure that we maintain our membership and attract new members. Now, I went to a YLS event on Wednesday night. Hopefully you guys were there. It was a great event. It was filled with young, energetic lawyers. Those are the people that are going to move this bar association forward. We need them. They're the lifeblood of the organization. We have to find a way to attract them and make them feel like they're a meaningful part of this bar association. While I was sitting in that room, I looked around and I said, there may be future bar presidents in this room. And it was a diverse group. There may be future bar presidents in this room. That made me feel good. But it also gave me a strong sense of responsibility. That starting today, I got to make sure that these young people who are here having a good time stay with the MSBA and feel a part of the MSBA. So a major objective of mine is to make sure that we keep our young lawyers engaged, make sure that they want to come in and be a part of this association. So they'll grab another young person. So 20 years from now, when I'm an old and beat down old man, one of those young lawyers are standing right here becoming president of the Bar Association. That is a goal of mine. It should be a goal of everyone. And if we do that, our membership rolls will continue. But we have to strike a delicate balance. We also have to retain the members that we have. So we have the more experienced population of our membership. We have to make sure that we give them what they need also. Because I'm going to be relying on those experienced members as president of this Bar Association. We don't want to alienate the folks that helped us get to where we are today for the sake of change. It's a delicate balance, but we have talented people that can do it, and we will do it. So membership is something that I want to continue. I was also chair of the Prince George's Chamber of Commerce, and that's a business organization. And I was getting interviewed by some news organization, and they asked me, how many members do you have? And I said, I'm taking the approach that we have one member. That's my law firm, Alexander & Cleaver. I'm not taking anything for granted. I'm not taking your membership for granted. I want to make sure that when you re-up, you feel that this Bar Association is for you. And we're not going to always agree on everything. The larger your association is, the more chances that we're not going to agree on everything. But as long as we all agree that we love the Maryland State Bar Association, that we want to see it thrive, we'll work through our differences, and on the back end, everything will be good. So that's what I look forward to that. I want to increase membership. Another goal of mine, and we've talked about it, Raphael Santini talked about it this morning. I hope you guys missed a great, great presentation. DEIA, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. That is something that should be on the front burner of every organization, not just the MSBA, but every organization going. The more diverse, the more open that your organization is, the better your organization will be. That is something that I want to keep on the front burner. David did a great job during his presidency. Past presidents before him made this something that we need to do and need to keep it open and keep it driving. And what have we gotten? Look at what we've done over the last 3 to 4 years. The last 3 out of 4 presidents, we've had a woman, we've had a member of the LGBTQ community, and we have an African American. That's 3 out of your 4 years. And what do we have coming up after me? We have Mr. Santini. People who want to be a part of organizations want to see people that look like them in leadership and have an opportunity to be a leader. So we have done some good work. And our run of presidents suggests and confirms that we've done good work, but we can never rest on our laurels. This is one of those things where, okay, we've had that run. We can put that on the back burner. Let's go back to the way it used to be. It should never go back to the way it used to be. The folks that are covered by DEIA aren't going anywhere. They're going to be here, and they should have the same opportunities as everyone else. So DEIA is something that is going to be on the front burner, and you'll hear more about that as we go forward. One last thing I would like to say, and a big part of what I want to do as president is I want to make sure that people understand. If you ask anybody about me, if anybody's come through my courtroom and anybody who's known me for years, I'm an open-minded person. My wife may disagree with you, but I am an open-minded person. I will give you an audience. As president, I want to hear from you. We had a bylaws amendment vote, and people were upset. Some people weren't for it. That's fine. I will listen to you. You may not always get the answer that you want. Nobody can give you the answer that you want all the time. But as president, I am going to give you a platform. I want to hear from you. We're all intelligent people. We all went to law school. We all passed that nasty bar exam. We all got here the same way. You have an opinion. I assume that everyone has done their research, and they come out after doing that research with an opinion. I respect your opinion, and I want to hear from you. I don't care how contentious it gets, as long as we're civil, as long as we respect one another, at the end of the day, we'll be a better organization. In closing, a couple of things I want to say and a couple of things, people I want to definitely thank. I want to say that the Maryland State Bar Association has fostered several strong relationships with other organizations, as well as partnerships. The Maryland Bar Foundation, the Access to Justice Commission, the MSBA Leadership Academy, and the Pro Bono Resource Center. I want to make sure that we keep those relationships strong, because all of those organizations have the same goals that the MSBA has. I want to keep the lines of communication open. I want to continue to work with you, your members, your boards, to make sure that at the end of this bar year, we're all deemed that we have done something that is great for our organizations. And the MSBA needs to lead the way. We are the major organization. As president, I take that responsibility very seriously. So I look forward to working with all of you, all of those organizations, to advance your goals. So those are my goals. I've developed them over time with the membership in mind. I want you to know that your president respects you. I think David, and I've seen David take some bullets, man. And David let it roll right off his shoulders, all right? David has a little bit more patience than I do. But I've learned a lot. And I understand this is a tough position to be in. I understand that we're going to have debate. But I want you to know, after we have that debate, I'm still going to respect you. I don't take anything personally. I've been practicing law too long to take anything personally. So I hope that we can learn to work together, keep it civil, and come on the back end at the end of next year, we'll all be happy. Now, to the two people I want to thank. When I first came on the Board of Governors, there was a man here by the name of Victor Velasquez. You all remember Vic. Vic, to say Vic when you first started was a divisive figure is an understatement. There were people who hated Vic, okay? And in my first Board of Governors meeting, I was sitting next to a judge, and I couldn't believe the stuff that people were saying about this man in the board meeting. I said, is all this true? And finally, when it all digested, and I was thinking, wait a minute. They're attacking this man for something that this board gave him the authorization to do. Now, they didn't like the result, but the Board of Governors told him to do it. And the judge that was sitting next to me said, just get through the meeting and let's go get something to eat. That's not Jason DeLoach. So I stood up in my very first meeting, and I stood up for Vic. The president at the time looked at me like I had 10 heads. I was a newbie. But what I saw him take, and the nastiness, and quite frankly, racist stuff that was laid at his feet, I was so impressed with the way he handled it. He never altered off his course. He stayed committed. And Victor Velasquez did a fantastic job as executive director. Anybody looking at it objectively would know what he went through and where he came out on the back end. He did a fantastic job for the MSBA. And I want to thank Vic, because I learned something from him. Because if people were throwing those darts at me the way he did, I would have handled it a whole different way. And most of you would have done the same thing, because it was nasty. And I want to thank Vic for his leadership. I also want to thank Vic for hiring Anna Scholl. Anna Scholl, your current executive director, is fantastic. I have worked with her now for probably 8-9 months, and I really became impressed with her. I don't know if it was at the last annual meeting, but it was somewhere where Vic was, I think it was here. Vic got sick. Vic couldn't be here. And everybody was like, uh-oh, the leader's not here. I told Vic at the end, I was like, man, nobody missed you. Anna's got this. Anna was fantastic. And everything that Anna has shown me since then, she's going to be better than Victor Velasquez. And Vic is not going to want to hear that, but I'm going to tell him. She's going to be better than you. And the staff that we have here is second to none. They're going to have a hard time keeping Jason where he needs to be. Teresa's already found a way to get my attention. Did you get this email that I sent last week? Did you get my text message? She stays on me. I need that because I'm in a lot of different places. But I joke. I'm looking forward to working with the staff. I think they're going to make me look good. I think they're going to keep me exactly where I need to be. And I am so happy and I'm so pleased and honored to be your president for the upcoming bar year. I respect you. I know you have the MSBA's best interest in heart, and I look forward to being your president, and I hope I have your support because I may be reaching out to you at some point. So thank you very much, and thank you to my twins who didn't run around all over the place. Thank you. Thank you. So, the last order of business, and this is the major part, do we have a motion to adjourn this meeting? So moved. Any objections? Oh, I didn't think I would hear anything. Thank you very much. Try to enjoy the beach a little bit, and safe travels home.